Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Build Your Copywriting Business podcast. Hey there, Kate.
Hello, hello.
Hello. And Kate, I'm actually going to let you ask you
Thanks.
to lead into the episode since this is your idea inspired by a book you read. So take it away, sister.
Yes. So I was reading and actually quite frankly listening to the 12-week year. This is by Brian P. Moran and Michael Lennington. I might be pronouncing this wrong. I apologize if I am. But essentially, one of the key things that stuck out to me in this book is a framework, if you will, what happens when we decide to make a change and what we go through during that change. So we're going to talk through this emotional cycle of change because this is very real. As soon as I started listening to this in this book, it felt relevant to me, and I'm sure to many CCA students and hopefully our listenership more broadly. But I do want to note there's several types of change models out there. So this one deals with the emotional aspects of change, and it's been adapted from psychologists Don Kelly and Daryl Connor. So we wanted to give credit to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got that citation out there right away before we forget.
Yes. Yeah. Credit where credit is due.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think this is such an interesting concept because it feels like the decision to make the change is the hard part, right?
Mm-hmm.
We tend to think like, all right, I'm gonna struggle with it. All right, I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we tend to think, being the silly little humans that we are, we tend to think that when we decide to make the change, that's the hard part. And then after that, the change is going to be like, well, that's the direction I want to go in my life. And therefore, it's going to be, if not easy, at least pleasant or fun, or it will feel empowering. It'll feel good while you're in the process of getting to that new place of existence. And that's not actually how it happens.
Stage one of this change model. Mm-hmm. So stage one within this model, and we will link to in the show notes to a page where you can kind of see the model that we're going through in case you're more of a visual person. But stage one is the uninformed optimism. So it is that I decided to make that change and I am super excited about it. I am revved up, raring to go. Optimism is real high, maybe close to peak. We'll get back. You can get back to that peak. But remember this peak with that enthusiasm you have when you decide, I'm going to do this. That New Year's Day resolution, new year, new me, like there is something very, very beautiful in that energy. And it's real. We all feel that. We're like, yes, I'm committed to this. I'm going to do this.
I like that you called it beautiful because it really is that moment of, wow, I'm imagining how my life is going to be. And there's also nothing wrong with imagining how your life is going to be. And it's very, very possible, if not likely, that you can get there. But you just, as you're imagining what your life could be, you're missing kind of some of the steps in the between part. You're kind of looking over the chasm and going, it's so beautiful over there, and not noticing the elements in between. This is the like, I'm so excited about this new hobby. I'm going to buy all this stuff without remembering that you actually have to learn how to do the hobby. And there's plenty of time when you are like me, for example. I tend to get really excited. Like, I'm going to start to do this. Like, I'm going to learn how to work on a pottery wheel. And it's going to be amazing. And maybe I'm going to be so good at it. It's actually a lot of fun. I really recommend it. Well, it's a lot of fun once you practice it. When you first start it, it's really flippin' hard. It's so much harder than it looks like in, for example, the movie Ghost. I mean, they even had four hands, but you get excited, you buy the stuff, you're like, oh my gosh, and I might even turn out to be so good at pottery. I could probably make mugs for all of my family members. Maybe I'm going to be so talented at it that I'll be able to sell it. Maybe this is going to be a whole new side. Maybe I should probably look into Etsy and see what a craft fair is involved. Me, this is where I go. But it is that excitement of like, wow, this is going to be an amazing experience. And then we get into Stage two. Yeah. And
I think this transition's so perfect because it is that uninformed optimism where you know enough to make the change. You're excited, you know what's possible, but you don't necessarily know, you haven't dug in yet. And once you start digging in, you start to learn more and more of the steps and things that need to go into whatever change it is that you're making. Pottery is a fine example of that. And so stage two, we dip into the informed pessimism. That optimism starts to shift at a certain point where we start to maybe hit some uncomfortable roadblocks. We start to realize that maybe this isn't going to be as fast as we want it. So, along between stage 1 and stage 2, that there's time is passing. And like the silly little humans that we are, I like saying that. We are silly little humans.
Silly little humans.
We love, especially in today's day and age, we love things to happen right now. We want instant gratification. We can get new content fed to us on social media every day. We can order something and have it at our doorstep quite regularly, if not in a day or two, within hours in some places. We can have groceries shipped to us. Everything can happen very, very quickly. We can do, I don't know about you, but I'm amazed at thinking about like dial-up internet and how long we would sit somewhere, seconds, minutes even, waiting for something to load. And now when that happens, we leave a website, I'll come back to it later, or we don't, which is why in marketing world, CCA students might know from working with, like, this is so important to capture people's attention so quick because we need payoff quickly. So when we're going through that change, that informed pessimism, we start to know we have a lot more information, maybe not all of it, but we know a little bit more, and it starts to kind of damper our excitement. It puts a little reins on our parade a little bit.
Yeah, it's just not as easy as we secretly thought it would be. And I say secretly because here's the thing, and I always giggle at myself. Speaking of silly little humans, I giggle at myself for this because I absolutely do this. But we also see this. I see this with my friends as they try new stuff, with all humans, with our students, with all humans everywhere. Is that we know intellectually, we know that we're starting something new. And because it's something new, we know intellectually that we don't know how to do it. Logically, sure. Well, of course, this is something new. I don't know how to do it. I've never done this before. I don't know how to do it. But as soon as we try it, we are shocked by the fact that we don't actually already know how to do it.
I'm supposed to be an expert.
Yes, exactly. We are shocked that we don't immediately pick it up, that it's not immediately simple. We are not used to, as adults, we are not used to learning new things. And we are continually shocked by the fact that when we actually have to learn something new, there is learning involved. And I think that's where a lot of that pessimism comes from. It's the, I'm going to actually have to put in some effort, and I have to learn new things. And some of this is going to be easier, but some of it's going to be a little bit more challenging. And it's very scientific term, kind of a downer.
Quite literally on this, if you, again, we'll link to the graphic, quite literally, stage 2 leads into stage 3, which is possibly the most important stage we'll talk about, because it is the difference between whether you move out of stage 3 or you are doomed to kind of repeat the process of stages 1 through 3 on a repeatable cycle. Which often happens because stage 3 is this valley of despair. This is kind of that pit that you enter of feeling like, what am I doing? Am I going to keep on moving forward with this? Is it even possible? You start to doubt. This is where doubts really, really creep in and start to make us consider changing our minds again and saying, this change I thought I wanted to make, I think it's just easier not to do it. I think it's easier to go back to what I was doing and just not even, just kind of give up, really.
Hey there, it's Nikki. I wanted to take a very quick minute to make sure that you knew about our free on-demand copywriting training. Now, whether you are brand new to copywriting or you've been doing it for a while, but you just can't seem to hit those income goals, this training is for you. You are going to learn the 3 secrets to landing freelance copywriting work without relying on frustrating job bidding sites like Upwork or Fiverr, or without cold calling strangers. And if you've watched any of the student success stories on this channel, and if you haven't yet, check them out. This is the exact same training that they all started with. And I mean students like Kate K, who is making 6 figures working part-time and retired her husband to help her build her business. Students like Stuart, who replaced his full-time salary, which was a good one, with his freelance income and then some. Stacy, who hit 6 figures in her first 6 months as a freelance copywriter, and Ashley, who landed the in-house copywriting job of her dreams. They all started with this free training, and you can start with this free training too. So sign up right now at freecopywritingtraining.com.
Really?
Yeah. This is where that resistance really kicks in. To bring it to another concept we talk about. This is where resistance really gets insidious. This is where your brain is going, you know what? Maybe you're just not any good at this. Maybe other people can do this, but you can't do it. Maybe this is something that you look at what you're doing. You're having a really hard time with this. This might mean that you're failing at this. This is it's so insidious and it's so dark, and it's really easy to get mired in that feeling, especially if you spend a lot of time thinking about it. If you let yourself spiral in these feelings and just staying in there, it's really easy to stay in that valley of despair. And I think we all know people who are always trying something new, and then they try it and then they go, oh, it was really terrible. And so but I'm going to try something new. And it's like Kate was saying, you end up cycling through 1 through 3 again. You never get out of it. You just hop in and you end up in a hole and you go, all right, well, I'm going to find a different hole
one
to jump into. Yeah.
That's exactly, we see it with copywriting with, if I just add graphic design services, and then you get excited about graphic design, and then you go through this phase again. Oh, if I just learn everything about SEO, and it's the same. And so you're stuck, never moving forward. It might feel like we can deceive ourselves into feeling like it's forward progress, but really we're just going backwards to that, again, uninformed optimism stage, and then again, leading into getting more information and realizing that there is no easy button. I hate to say it. I wish there was. But quite frankly, the easiest thing is to recognize this and to keep moving forward. We talked to CCA students a lot about this idea that it's like pushing a boulder up a hill at the beginning stage, because you're still learning so much. And right at that peak, when it's about to tip over, and you can't see the future. We can't predict the future. But Nikki and I, we've been doing this for a while. So we know if you just stick with it at that point, the boulder's about to go down that hill, and you're about to have, I got my first client. I got a discovery call. Things start to happen. But it's that pit of despair, but it's also we're also in some ways at the top of this mountain that you're climbing. You're so close to the summit, and you want to give up because you feel like, is this, again, the doubts sneak in, and you think, these other people have done it, but I can't do it. They made 6 figures, but I can't do it. They're spending more time with their family, but I think it's me, something with me. I'm not going to be able to achieve this.
Yeah, the valley of despair is the peak of self-doubt. That moment where you think you are special in the worst possible way, that you think this can work for everybody else, but for some reason you are special in that it won't work for you.
And notice, I think this is where negative self-talk, but just negativity in general can seep in. So if you're saying, you're looking at other people and thinking like, oh, good for them, but it's not going to be for me, or oh, this is dumb, or whatever the negative thoughts. I'm stupid for even thinking I could pursue this as a career. Nikki's oofing because it's so it's so disheartening because it's not true, but we let ourselves believe these very just gross, icky, mean feelings to ourselves.
It's not true, and it doesn't benefit us in any way. It's not like, oh, well, if I'm just mean enough to myself, then I'll get myself to take action. That's not how it works.
Or mean at the world too.
Yes, or mad at the world, or blaming, or jealous of other people. If I'm just jealous enough of other people, it's going to get me through this. That's not how it works. It's never how it works.
Excuses too.
Yes.
Of, oh, well, they could do it because they didn't have student loans to pay, or they could do it. And we don't know anything about anyone's situation. I had a friend once tell me, and I think it was the best advice ever of, I have to remind myself, don't get me wrong, it's of, you don't know what someone else is going through. So even if you're like, they cut me off, what a bleepity bleep bleep bleep, who knows? They might have had a bad day. They might have gotten divorced. They might have had a child that's in the hospital.
Yeah.
Who knows what anyone's going through?
Yeah.
So I think
there's a quote, and I'm probably going to get this wrong too, but it's everyone is going through a private battle that you know nothing about.
Yes.
Which is true.
And so you're going through your own private battle, but I think it's remembering that everyone's going, and what do you have control over? You have control over in this moment, whether you keep pursuing that change that you were so excited about, or whether, again, you go back to the beginning and kind of repeat this process indefinitely.
This is a great opportunity to try talking to yourself the way someone who loves you would talk to you. You know, the way that we talk to ourselves when we're in that valley of despair, we would never let someone talk to our best friends the way we're talking to ourselves. If someone were talking to your best friend that way, you would step in. You would pull them outside for a fight. You would never let someone talk that way to a child. You would never let someone, you would never talk that way to your best friend or your child or someone that you love. You would never do that. But for some reason, we allow ourselves to talk to ourselves that way. So it's a great opportunity to practice, okay, what would I say to myself if I were talking to my best friend? If my best friend were going through this, and if they were saying, "Wow, this is more challenging than I thought it would be. This is taking, but it's going a little bit slower. I'm finding this part. Yeah, I thought I mastered pretty quickly, but this part is taking so much longer than I expected it to." What would you say to your best friend, to your child, to someone that you love, if they said that to you? Chances are it's nothing like what you are actually saying to yourself.
Yeah. So in this moment, in addition to that, I think you have a choice of recognizing that you're here and saying, I'm going to push through, and we'll talk about that in a second, or give up, really. And it might be a hard thing to recognize the first time you're going through this cycle. But again, this happens in not just if you're pursuing a career in copywriting, but anything in your life with change that's you're facing that's difficult. But to get through to this stage 4, which is the informed optimism. So you now know that it's possible. You believe it's possible for yourself. In order to do that, you need to keep taking action and recognize the small wins to, if it's in terms of copywriting, getting your portfolio up and recognizing that as the achievement that it is. It is telling people that you are a copywriter. It is sending outreach to prospective clients and hearing back, even if it is a no, to know that you're offering value and you're taking the steps you need. It's for CCA students relying on the community and getting feedback on your client outreach to make sure that it is putting your best foot forward, that you are adding value. It's doing the things that you know you need to do, that maybe you wake up and you say, I'm tired, I don't want to do, but I want to do it because it's going to lead me to your big why, really. Why are you doing this? Why do you want the change? Do you want more time with friends and family? Do you want to take more vacation throughout the year? Do you want to just be able to cook eggs in your kitchen during lunch and not have to bring a bag to lunch? I know what that's my big why.
I love it.
Big enough.
It's a little why, but I respect
it's a little why. Yes, it's being able to cook lunch, yeah.
Yeah. I think the not sexy truth about success, the secret to success, when it's like, oh, what does it actually take in just about everything, especially when it comes to changing your career? The secret, right? Everybody listen in. It's about to tell you the secret. The secret is consistency and persistence. That is truly what it takes. Keep doing the stuff and keep showing up and doing that stuff. It is the difference, truly, between the people who succeed and the people who don't. And yes, every once in a while you might have to reevaluate a step, like, ooh, was that the right step? Maybe I get a little feedback on this, and okay, I might have to change that just a little bit. But largely, it is just consistency and persistence. Keep doing it and keep sticking with it. And it's not sexy. It's not fun. There's no easy button to it, but it's also a muscle that you develop and that makes you a better person and also makes it easier for you to do it the next time that you are doing some kind of change or going up against some kind of challenge.
Yeah, because as you start to see and recognize these little wins stacking up, you recognize what's possible, and it builds momentum that you need to achieve eventually then the bigger things that you want to achieve. You don't go from being not a copywriter to a copywriter overnight. You don't go from being someone who never goes to the gym to running a half marathon overnight. There's steps along that way, and we need to recognize them. And as you do them, you start to feel different. You start to become more positive. The negativity starts to go away, but you just start to realize that, okay, I could do this and I feel good. I accomplished this. Let me keep accomplishing things. And
well, there's a lot of pride in sticking with something. There's a lot of pride in going, wow, that was challenging. Or wow, I considered giving up. But you know what? I stuck with it and things have gotten easier. That thing that was challenging before, it's not so challenging anymore. Maybe it's not easy yet, but it's not so challenging anymore. And that means that I'm learning and that means that I'm growing. And again, this is not just about careers. This is about just about any change that you're making. But you have that ability to look at where you are now from where you were and be proud of the distance in that journey.
Yeah. And as part of this, I'm going to share this. I was sharing it with Nikki before we started recording, but talking with my partner about the gym, and just he is a very fit individual. And
way to show off, Kate.
I know. I just thought I thought that was something he loved to do. And then we had a conversation one day that just got me thinking. He said, he's like, no, I don't want to get up in the morning, because for his job in the summers, it's at 5 a.m. that he'll get up and head to the gym. He's like, I do not want to get up every day and go to the gym, but I do it because I know A, I'm not going to do it after work. I'll be too burnt out to do it. But B, I know this is important to me. I know how I feel after it. It's important to my health. All the reasons of why he wants to do it. No, I want to stay in bed and I want to be especially in the winter when it's dark and cold out. He's like, no, I absolutely do not want to do this, but I do it anyway. And I think I've started to up my gym game, but I think I'm still tired every morning. I am grumpy on the way in, but I know I keep in mind how I'm going to feel afterwards. I know once you do it enough, you know that feeling of, oh, I'm going to be proud. I'm going to feel great. Even if it wasn't the best workout, I'm going to be happy I went. I'm always happy I went versus not. I'm never unhappy that I did the thing. And I think that's true of anything. If you're pursuing copywriting as a career, or any career, doing the thing, you're never going to feel bad about learning or putting in effort or skills you gained. If you think about it like that and you start to take pride and feel good about all of the things that you're completing on a day-to-day basis, and to recognize that for what it is versus, I think sometimes too, we skip over the well, I'm not a copywriter yet, or I haven't run my 5K yet, or I haven't done, but what have you done?
Yeah. Everything is practice, and practice is always useful. Practice might not make perfect, but it certainly gets you better than where you were before.
And so all of this leads to stage 5, which is the success and fulfillment stage of this process of, continuing to do those small wins, feel optimistic that this is possible, and building,
where you were imagining you would be
at stage
1, the beginning of it, where you're like, I'm just going to get right there to success and fulfillment immediately. I'm going to be a professional potter.
I wish we could order a career off Amazon. Boop.
Yeah.
Fluency in French. Boop.
Yes. I mean, yes, to joke about it, absolutely. But there's so much more value in something that you have earned.
Yes.
And I think CCA students, you guys know this because you're living it every day. And anybody who has faced some kind of challenge and gotten through it and really at certain points wondered if they even would. That was a lot of last year for me, to get through it and go, okay, maybe I'm not even completely out of the weeds yet, or out of the, whatever the term is.
Are we ever out of the weeds? It's life.
Yeah, right? Like, very weedy, this whole life situation. Lots of weeds. But you feel good about getting past that. And you feel good about who you have become, who you've grown into as you've gotten past it. So yes, you get to that success and fulfillment. But not only that, not only do you get the metaphorical awards and all of that kind of thing, but you also get to be the kind of person who earned your way there.
I love that. And not to get too dark, but I think this whole process is it's going through life. Like I feel like there's no end until we're not living anymore. So wah. better enjoy the journey rather than not. And I don't know about you, but I'd much rather be, working through this, even the tough stuff, versus doomed to kind of repeat the cycle of just not being where I want to go.
Or stay shallow your entire life. The kinds of people who are like, yeah, I don't really like my job, but I like the weekend. So I don't really like my girlfriend, so I just, I don't really like my boyfriend, so I just kind of
I don't want to dump them.
Yeah, well, I don't like where I live. Easy. Blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah, you could live that way, but hey, why? Yeah, I agree. This is kind of life in a nutshell. This is what happens with every step. There is that excitement. There is the discomfort. There's a lot of discomfort. And then you stick with it, and then you make your way out of it, and you grow as a person.
Yeah. And then you're able to do the next challenge. Like Nikki said earlier, you're that much more equipped to take on the next challenge because, surprise, there's always going to be another challenge.
There's a I forget which culture it is, but behind the mountains are more mountains. Yes. But
better like hiking.
News,
some good hiking boots.
Exactly. And you get better at it. And all of a sudden, it's not quite
Those
as
quads
daunting.
Get strong.
Strong quads, strong glutes, metaphorical quads and
strong
glutes.
Mental glutes.
Mental glutes. Yeah, wow. We should really write down our own sayings, too. This is good stuff. Really good stuff. So what was the name of that book again, Kate? That was 12 weeks.
The 12
just
week
in case people want to check it out.
The 12-week year mentioned this. And the 12-week year is really about getting more done in 12. This is the subtitle, getting more done in 12 weeks than others do in 12 months. So it's actually quite good if you're prone to thinking too far out and not, it kind of reins you back into, maybe you should read. Maybe I should.
Is this a podcast intervention for me?
Yeah, this is a surprise. This was all leading up to your intervention. Okay. Everyone else come out. Special guests. We have the authors. Just kidding.
We don't have the
budget for that. Sorry.
I will definitely check that one out myself. And we'll put it all in the show notes, of course, if you're listening somewhere and don't get a chance to write it down. But yeah, thank you for suggesting this, Kate. This was a really good. I really enjoyed talking through this topic, and I hope all of you guys found it useful as well, because it's whether you like it or not, we're all going to go through it. So might as well.
We're all in it right now in some form or another.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe in multiple places, personal and professional life in different areas. Yeah,
true. Very, very true. Yeah. So if you found this useful, as always, let us know if you're on YouTube, comment, and certainly if you are on Spotify or
email us,
or wherever. Email us. Yeah, let us know.
We read them.
Let us know. Yeah, we read everything. So thank you for that. And with that, we will catch you all on the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Like what you heard? Hit subscribe so you never miss a video. And if you're ready to take the first step toward becoming a copywriter yourself, sign up for a free video training right here.